and answers, and I see a hand up in the back. I have a quick question for Russ. If there's striped bass, they're restocking the striped bass because it dies in the urinated water. And I want to thank you for educating me about the polluted water, because I'm living in LA now with my dad he needs some help, and my brother and I are caring for him. And I can't drink the water down there anymore because you've tainted me. I have to go buy distilled water. That's the only thing I'll drink anymore because I know what's in it. But if they're restocking it and it eats the smelt, isn't it a predatory fish that eats the smelt? Does that make any sense? If they find just four more smelts in the pumps, they're shutting it off completely. Completely. I mean, this is the absurd situation that we're in. These people, it is a secular religion.
It is. Absolutely.
Questions? In the back, with the gentleman with the red tie.
What can we do at the state level, as candidates running for the assembly? What can we do at the state level to turn this around? Don't we have states' rights that we can impose for some of this stuff? It's a federal issue, I know, but what about states' rights?
We have no. It is a federal issue. We were close. We had the votes, as Russ explained. We had the votes, and Nancy Pelosi and George Miller killed it because they're protected. They're in a little environmental bubble right there in the Bay Area, and she's she's speaker. She does. So you have to scare the bejeebies out of the Congress people in the rest of the state. Anybody who's vulnerable. And let me tell you something. There's only 32, I think it's 32%, correct me if I'm wrong, registered Republican voters. There's a huge independent contingency. Living down in Whittier, I've met this Latino guy who's 48 years old because he started listening to my show and he's a fan. He's read everything I wrote. He's always been a Democrat. His family's all Democrats. He's re-registering. And he says, I was with the wrong party. How come I didn't know these things? Yesterday he told me he just became a fan of the U.S. Constitution. Yes. This is really awesome. What I want to tell you is there are some people that we hire in the Republican Party for our small races, for our primaries, and they do a lot of red meat baiting, or red meat baiting, and it's anti-Hispanic, and we say, well, we want legal, but not illegal. But the rhetoric is hostile, and we're missing. You need to go to Latinos, because if you need to go to Latinos, especially if you have a Democrat representing you in Congress or a Democrat representing you, you need to go to those Hispanic families and you need to ask them for help. You need to say, we need you. Can you help us, please? We want to get our water back. We want the jobs back. We need to turn this around, and we can't do it without you. And that's the God honest truth. And if you're not willing to do that, to be humble and to ask for help, they won't help you because they don't know that you even. They don't think you even like them. You don't even talk to them. Right. Yes.
A time to deal with this. Is this on?
Yes.
The time to deal with this is when candidates are running for office. It's hard to remove some of the people who are already there, particularly people who are in districts where you probably are not going to change who is there. But one thing that Republicans don't do, and that is we don't press this green issue. Which of the candidates is speaking about the green issue? How many of them even know about the green issue, like I was trying to do at the beginning of this presentation? You've got to ask candidates. You've got to ask the candidates for governor. I wish we had asked the current governor where his position is. That's when it has to be done. And they have to know something about what's going on. The problem is that most people don't understand what's going on and they don't bother to learn. That's when you do it. And we have an election coming up.
Yeah, on your comment, on the east side, 5937 is a state law. That's what the NRDC sued on. So in that case, they use states' rights against us. Okay, on the west side, you're exactly right. Congress could solve it. One thing that state legislators could do is on this water bond and this water bills that were just passed, NRDC was let in the closed room. They are an unelected group. They are an environmental group that gets their fees from the very laws they're helping you write. Now, certainly the Republicans, I know we're in a big minority, but they could demand that those people not be in the room to help write the laws.
Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Christine Rubin, and I'm actually a candidate for the 77th California Assembly District in San Diego. And to get an idea, how many elected assembly or senators do we have in the room?
not one elected guy.
Okay. When I began running in San Diego County, the Republican leadership asked me, why are you so passionate about water in the valley? Because that doesn't impact your district. I said, number one, I am a 5th generation dairy farm girl from Tulare County. Trust me, my dad's been in a cow for 8 years, okay? And number two, when you wipe out $1.5 billion of the state economy, we all get impacted. And as a Republican, and now as a Republican activist and a candidate, I am educating all Republican leadership and candidates that it's not fish versus farmer. It is the systematic destruction of an industry. And I tell all the people in San Diego, and when they're done with the farmers, they're coming after you. That's right, Dad.
The water we're talking about doesn't only stop in the Central Valley, it goes down to San Diego.
And they don't get it. They don't get it. If anybody
Christine Rubin, 77th District. Okay, yes, sir.
This might be an obvious question, but with all this sewage being dumped into the Delta, isn't there some sort of suits that can be filed against that, or have they already been filed?
Yeah, countersuit.
Why is Stockton, in the last 5 years, Russ, we've had this conversation, why have they been allowed to dump, or they've been cited 1,500 times in 5 years for dumping their poo water and not helping us out downstream? Why is nobody going after them? Because if you have a broken taillight and you don't pay within 30 days, there's a warrant for your arrest.
Okay, thank you.
It's an interesting question. I went to school to learn agronomy and plant science and ag business. I've now had to learn about sewage plants and operations. And we've been categorizing the newspaper reports and stuff, and Stockton has been 1,500 over 5 years raw sewage spills into the Delta. Every time there's a rain event in the Delta of a ½ inch or 1 inch, there's numerous raw sewage spills of anywhere from 100,000 to 1 million gallons occurring in the Delta annually on a regular basis, because they've not had to comply with the same building restrictions that we do in other communities, where we are required to build containment basins to handle 6 inches of rainfall within a 24-hour period. They're not doing it. They're simply using the bay and the Delta as a sewage and
That's against the California Constitution.
yes, it should be.
It is against it. I can tell you where it's written.
And
Jerry Brown will take care of you.
But at least it's something.
our one organization, coalition that I've worked with, that they let us reproduce the front and back of this, they have a pending lawsuit against the sewage dischargers. But I'm telling you, they are very politically connected. There's a lot of developers and a lot of donations. They get a lot of people to look the other way. And these agencies are not doing their job, and we need elected officials. And I hope Andy Vidak, he was on the canal bank with us when we went to where they are dumping this sewage in the Delta. And we're not against the people in Sacramento. There is current technology available that other cities are using it. You can clean up the sewage. Then the water, when you discharge it, is good for fish and for people downstream. It simply is just a cheap way to get by, and we shouldn't allow it.
I love that you're so educated and it was informative on the condition of the water in general. I also want us to remain focused on where we have to keep the political pressure right now, because people are in desperation and we need those pumps turned on. So we need to scare the hell out of the Congress people who are up for re-election, and they should know. And I don't know however you do it, but that's what needs to happen. Ma'am, you right there.
I want to thank Russ for all of his work and his support of Andy. I definitely will be supporting Andy. And I was just wondering if there was any other candidates that could work with Andy and Devin to get this going on. I think, Russ, do you have an answer?
Why don't we have a contract with California with congressional candidates, of which I am one, where we start dealing with this issue?